There are lots of different ways to approach Scripture. We can look at the events that happen and try to get to know the story. We can dig into the symbols and try to figure out what a Scripture's meaning is. We can pray our way through a Scripture, simply listening for God in the word we receive. Sometimes we're exploring a character, putting ourselves in the shoes of someone else, imagining their reality and what their experience of God might have been like. There's lots of ways to approach Scripture. It often depends on what you want out of it. The same can be said for days like Christmas, events like Christmas. We can dig into the story, what happened, in what order, how it unfolded. We can tell the story. We can dive into the symbolism, the meaning behind gifts that were brought and visitors that came and cities that are mentioned. We can listen. We can simply listen for God in the story, speaking anew to us. But we can also put ourselves in the shoes of those who came before us through the Scripture story and throughout history, those who have celebrated Christmas in different ways. Often we find ourselves through storytelling of family, through watching old movies, through traditions, and even the symbols in Scripture story, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. It all depends really on what you want out of it. So what do you want out of Christmas this year? Are you hoping for direction? Are you praying for peace? Are you wanting renewal of the love you once knew in your heart? Do you want to rediscover the joy that was once so natural to you? Are you searching for the real meaning of Christmas? The real meaning of Christmas. If I hear one more commercial, one more holiday special, one more TV commentator use the expression, the real meaning of Christmas, I might lose my patience. I'll probably lose my lunch. I know I'm going to lose my mind, and there's a chance I'll lose my temper. These are the rants I find myself going on this time of year as I hear people talk about the real meaning of Christmas, often followed by something trite, oversimplified, warm and fuzzy, self-absorbed. It sounds good at first, so we go along with it. It opens up with something we can all agree on, and then it goes somewhere strange. It starts out with something like, it's about belief in something important, like a teleporting elf from shelf to shelf. It's about belief in something, like a bell that only the special people can hear. That's the real meaning of Christmas? It's belief in something, like snow on Christmas Day in California. It sounds good at first, it pulls us in, and then it goes somewhere a little off. It's all about love that leads us to give. Cars with giant bows on them. It's about love that calls us to give diamonds because they're forever. It starts out sounding good, and then it goes somewhere weird. Like, it's about family and things always working out with all the loose ends tied up before the credits. It sounds good at first, but by the end, we're left going, oh, I'm not sure your real meaning of Christmas is, real. The real meaning of Christmas in our society often lacks the reality of the first Christmas. The real meaning of Christmas in our society often lacks the reality of the Christmas story. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because Mary does. One of the first things the angel tells her is, fear not. Don't be afraid. We live in a world of fear. People making decisions based on something they're afraid of doing, afraid of becoming, afraid of not becoming, afraid of what others will say, afraid of unknowns. Ooh. But Christmas from the beginning was all about the unknown. One of the first messages of Christmas is don't be afraid. Mary gets it. And she pushes past her fear. She steps out to do what is needed, even though it is frightening. Still in our society, in our world, Halloween's where we get to do all the frightening. And New Year's is where we get to talk about stepping out into a new reality. Not Christmas. Christmas should be the time we get to scare the bejeebers out of each other and push past it. It should be filled with little ghosts and goblins. We go, and I'm not going to let you stop me. That's the real story of Christmas. Fear is one of the realities of Christmas. So what are you afraid of? It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to pray about it. It's okay to let fear be part of the conversation, because our hope of overcoming it is a real part of Christmas. The real meaning of Christmas in our society is often lacking the reality of the Christmas story. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mary does. She actually asked the angel how the impossible could be true. After she gets over the fear, she dives in with her curiosity. Okay, I'm not going to be afraid, but now explain how this is supposed to work, because it doesn't make sense to me. Apparently, she listened in health class, and she knows that what the angels just said is biologically impossible. We live in a world where curiosity and even doubt are hidden. People act like they have it all together, like they have all the answers, like they believe in miracles while living as if they're impossible. We talk a good game, but we don't live it out. We don't wrestle with the doubts. We don't wrestle with the questions. We just dress them all up in certainty and security. One of the first expressions of Christmas was Mary asking questions. Mary asking questions. Okay, you're an angel and I'm impressed, but how is this going to happen? You know I'm a virgin, right? We've covered that, right? Mary's not afraid of questions. She's not afraid of expressing her curiosity, her confusion, or even her fear. Mary asks her faith questions and wonders about the answers. Wondering becomes a part of the experience for her. Still, we try to act like we've got it together. We act like everything's just fine. Everybody in the family is getting along this Christmas because it's the most magical time of the year. We believe we'll hear the bell if everyone just sits quietly together and gets along. Facing doubts to find peace of mind was one of the first realities of Christmas. So what questions do you have this Christmas? It's okay to ask them. It's okay to share them. It's okay to seek peace of mind by exploring the questions in our mind. It's okay to let doubt and questions be a real part of Christmas. The real meaning of Christmas in our society often lacks the reality of the Christmas story. You know what I'm talking about? Mary does. Mary was in a hurry. You heard it in Scripture today as Jim read it. She hurriedly left for Elizabeth's house. From the beginning, people have been rushing off to see family at Christmas. It's right there in Luke's gospel. From the beginning, we have been in a hurry to get to the family. Now, maybe it was her parents hiding her pregnancy as quickly as possible. Maybe it was her desire to share the good news with family. Maybe it was her fear and doubt leading her to seek comfort with somebody she trusted. But Mary was in a hurry. And it was a hurry that didn't end with her trip to Liz and Zach's house. I assume that's what they called him in the family, because Elizabeth and Zachariah is just too many syllables. Mary was in a hurry. And the journey did not end with visiting family. Then they had to go back to the ancestral home of her husband and see his family in Bethlehem. But there was no room there, and from Bethlehem it's on to Jerusalem to get the baby blessed and get the circumcision done, because we have to follow all the traditions at this time of year. And then from there, all of a sudden, they're whisked off to Egypt. Suddenly refugees running from Herod's decree to have the child killed. Eventually, the journey back home to Nazareth to try to find some normal again. They're hurrying from one place to the other in the early days of this child. It's a hurry. It's a mess. And they're not the only ones hurrying. They're not the only ones hurrying. When was the last time you heard a Christmas carol about what angels might have sung that was sung slowly? We sing, Silent night, slow. We sing Away in a Manger, but we sing, Angels we have heard on high. They're fast singers, I can tell by the hymns. And then the shepherds hear the message, and what do? They hurry on to Bethlehem to find out what's going on. The Magi see the star. They leave everything and they go. They don't even know where they're going. They must have been in a hurry. And you know they're desperate to get there because they stop and ask for directions. And no one stops and asks for directions unless they're desperate, right? Or is that just a man's answer? Everybody in this story seems to be in a hurry. It is a part of Christmas past. We complain about all of the rushing at Christmas. We complain about the angst and stress that comes with Christmas. We complain about all the work and not enough time to get it done. But this was part of the reality, the experience for Mary from the beginning. Expectations spinning out of control, relationships changing and shifting with each new revelation, and her body, oh my gosh, her body was not completely her own. She had to be praying that this child would come in a hurry. The first Christmas was not calm or serene. It was not a silent night. It was chaos. How much work will loving others be for you this Christmas? How much effort will holding the old traditions, asking your questions, facing your fears, how much work will it be? It's really okay to be anxious. It's okay to be exhausted. It's okay to be hurried and even expectant. Those were real things that Mary went through a couple thousand years ago. The real meaning of Christmas in our society often lacks the reality of the first Christmas. You know what I'm talking about. So does Mary. So does Mary. Christmas, the real meaning of Christmas is about facing real fears, about facing real doubts, about facing the real challenges that are around us at Christmas. The real experience of Christmas requires honesty about our fears. It requires honesty about our fears so that we can search past them for hope. It requires honesty about our questions. It requires honesty about our questions so that we can work towards peace of mind and within our community. It requires honesty about how much work loving others really takes. It requires honesty about how much work loving others really takes. And in the end, we trust we will find joy that matches the effort. We will find joy that matches the work. You know what I mean? Mary does. Just imagine her traveling to Bethlehem. Imagine her. Put yourself in the shoes of, the sandals of, a teenage girl pregnant for the first time with a man her family has arranged a marriage to, going off to a strange city in a new place while extremely pregnant, swollen ankles, having contractions while Joseph navigates the inn, trying to find them a place while it seems like nothing will happen. And her body has things happening, and she's alone in the moment, breathing and pushing, delivering a baby in a strange place where she feels not at home, out of sorts, confused, breathing and pushing through. Her fears, her questions, all the work that it's taking. Imagine Mary trying to figure out how to feed a baby with Joseph as her only emotional support. Imagine her wondering if each feeling, each new sensation as a young mother is normal, is natural. Were there women in the community that came around to help? Were there some women with the shepherds who had been there before and experienced this? Or was it just Mary and Joseph for a while, with their fears, with their questions, with all the work that the love of this child would require? Imagine her trying to figure out what's next with so few answers, so many more questions. Just imagine all that her body would experience, all her heart would feel, all that was happening around her. And Mary feels love. She feels love. She overcomes her fears with love. It's love that will overcome her doubts. Love that puts all the work into perspective. Love that comes out expressed as pure joy. The real meaning of Christmas is not believing. It's not pretending. The real meaning of Christmas is not all the stuff the world is selling. The real meaning of Christmas is love. Love that keeps our fears in check. Love that calls us to work further for peace in our own hearts and in our world. Love that makes the exhaustion worth the while. So this year, let's follow Mary's lead. This year, when we're not sure we understand, let's follow Mary, because she does. Let's name our fears. Let's ask our questions. Let's embrace the work and respond with profound love. You know what I mean? Mary does. Amen.